guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are testing a little twist on the Shanks decklist in an OP10 local, and we are trying a Whitebeard version of this deck. The first matchup was against Enel, not the easiest matchup. Consider this decklist was attached for the matchups against Aesop and Doflamingo. The matchup against Enel I think is kind of fair. We both want to go late game and put bodies. One of the peculiarities of this decklist is surely the fact that we are building the whole Whitebeard set archetype. So we can search cards like 7-cost Whitebeard, 9-cost Newgate, Marco, and so on and so forth. The first turn I was lucky enough to have a double Izzo. So we managed to add both Marco, which in this matchup is not really useful, but it's like a fair card against removals if you have an event in your hand. We are trying to make him go as low as possible of lives, and that his Rygos are not as useful. In this decklist we are also playing Living Departure, because it's OP10 and it can solve some spots like 8-cost hit if you're playing against Smoker or Bonnie, as we will see in one of the future matchups. Here we go phase, we keep him constantly at 1 life and we try to put board. He plays a Katakuri to solve our 7-cost Newgate. I did a 5 in the face, which was kind of useless, but if we had a rush, he may have to counter that, but we do not. We play a 9-cost Newgate, so our leader is 7. But he will not go face at all because his Yamato have to make value. This is a very interesting spot because, as you can see, we already have 7 lives. So with his 1, he might solve an 8-cost by casting Yamato. We go 5 face because we try to make him discard cards, because any rush could be a problem for him. Now we play a 10-cost Shanks. If he does not have Raygo, that is a wonderful play. Now he plays Shanks and pass the turn because he does not want to take any lives from me. Now we have to go face because, again, if he casts Yamato, we are in a very dangerous spot because his Yamato could solve our Newgate. So we go face, we take him to 1 life again. If he tries to trade that Newgate, we can go on the characters with Shanks. Here we cast a Divine Departure to solve a Katakuri, which is a very good play because he has 1 character less in board and we do not have to worry that much. He plays another Ace. We do not have another high-cost character, so we have to play a Yasop, which is also a fair play because now we are 6 base power, still 7 lives. He's not attacking with his character yet. He has to discard 2 cards because otherwise he would have other 2 attacks in the face. Here we attack with Shanks because if he tries to trade, it's fine. We go with the Whitebeard on one of his characters. Yamato here solves Yasop, which is good for us because if we didn't attack his lives, that Yamato could have killed our Newgate and the spot would have become very, very dangerous. Now we play a 7-cost Whitebeard, which is 8,000 power, so really high body. We like that. Again, we push him as far as we can to 1 life without making him trigger the leader effect, so he does not cycle cards from his end. Luckily, he does not have Raygo, so this spot is very favorable for us because we managed to have two characters on board that he cannot solve. Now he is starting to attack with his characters. We take the first life, and I think also the second, because we can solve his board in the next turn. So he is trying to rush our face. With a red hawk, we can counter one of his ace attacks, and as soon as he passes the turns, it's time for us to solve the board. We cast a Rayleigh here, which is really good for trading his board because we do -3 and -2k. We can solve his board easily. In fact, we are going with 10 on his 6 because there's the -1k of our Shanks. We solve the other one, and we go 5 face. He has to take because maybe some trigger will enter, but not this time. And now the situation is favorable for us because he will have to rush for closure, and not having Raygo means that we can counter easily and still have on our board more and more characters that are a problem for him. We're taking here because we are trying to go lethal, if not the next turn, do one later. So we go to 2 lives. Now we do 11 on 7, which is a favorable trade. 12 on 8, same, we're trying to solve board because he will have to finish his character pretty soon, so he has to counter and go low on cards in hand. So that is actually a good spot for us because after counting our cards in hand, we know that we will not die the later turn. He went to 1 card in hand, so we just need to survive the next turn and we won this game. In fact, I cast a blocker, which is a problem for him. Here he tries to search for something. He adds a Raigo. He will solve one of our characters, and it's of course Shanks, but he cannot go lethal this turn. So next turn will be crucial for the split to win this game. We use the leader effect on the 5, and we try to let our characters survive this turn intensively. So we use the 0-cost spell to save Rayleigh, and we still have 1 blocker. So the blocker will save Rayleigh from this attack. No, actually I have a 0 spell, so the blocker was not necessary. Another piece to go lethal, and now we just have to split and win the game if he does not trigger like something that adds life. So we go 9 in the face. He will take, use the leader effect. Now he has 2 cards in hand and only 1 life, so we will split. We can go 10 face, he will take, no trigger, and this game is won by going 13 in the face. Our next matchup was against OP10 Asop, and this is a pretty interesting matchup because we have many cards that will solve this matchup for us, because he will start spamming blockers, and we will have many cards to KO those blockers, such as cost 5 Marco or cost 7 Newgate, which are searchable with Easel. So fairly easy matchup in my opinion, but it depends on many things. We do not have an Easel on the second turn, so we just go straight 8 face, try to push him a little, because if he goes high of cards in hands, he will not trigger the leader effect. Cavendish is a pretty broken card in this matchup, but we do not have a play again on turn 3, so we just go straight 9 face, another card in hand for him, and we will try to solve that Cavendish as soon as possible because it's pretty problematic. With this decklist, you always try to counter as much as you can in the early turns, because you will soon finish the cards in hand, and once you are in late, you will just try to control the board a little bit. As you can see, he puts yet another Cavendish and a blocker on the field, which is pretty bad for us because the trade of the first Cavendish will not be as easy. We use the effect of Newgate, we trash his blocker, he will not draw because he has 7 cards in hands, and we just go 6 on 6 to make him discard a card. This spot is not so favorable because he will draw a lot of cards, and we will take 2 attacks per turn, which is not ideal in this matchup. But if we found Yalsop on the first hand, that Newgate could have solved a Cavendish. So that was pretty bad, but I mean, the game goes on. Now we have an Izzo in hand, we have to take 1 life because we're still at 5. We try to search a play for the next turns, and he will play the combo with 7 cost Rebecca, pretty broken card in my opinion. He plays Kiros and Frankie, my brothers. We will counter the first attack on Newgate because we want him to survive, but we are wasting many cards from our hand and we need to solve his board quickly. Really pretty broken card. We will take 1 Cavendish with the effect and the second one with the effect of Newgate, but first we do a 6 on 4 so he discards cards. We will not use Newgate effect here because we do not want him to trade it. He will do a 5 in our face or lives with Cavendish. He is cycling cards, so he should have an ideal hand. And now we just have to survive for a couple of turns, try to put board on the field, and survive as much as we can. Unfortunately, we have to take a 5 here because we do not have many counters in hand, and we will take a red rock on our Newgate. So maybe using the effect could have been a better response because we could have countered better his attacks and he would have a character less on the field. This was kind of a misplay, but it's very fine. We managed to find our Shanks, cost 10 Shanks in this list. He is not searchable because we are not playing with the Uta, and we are only playing 3 copies of that card because Newgate is better in many matchups, the cost 9 Newgate, so I prefer to search for that. He will of course use the blocker ability here to save Cavendish, but we are not in a bad spot right now. We just have to survive for 1 turn, try to push little, not die later, and we are good to go. Let's see. I will use my leader effect here, try to counter as much as we can. We will have to take the attack from Kiros, probably, yes. And he will start spamming blockers, solving our Shanks with yet another red rock, which was really, really good for us. We found another rally. We use the ability to reduce his attack power. We solve the Cavendish. Kiros is now 7k. We go 8 on 7 to try and force a 2k. 5 in the face, he will counter that too, and now he has 2 blockers on the field and many attacks. We will take the first one. He will try to split here. Luckily, we managed to this attack, but that means we have to go little next turn. Red Hawk will solve one of his blockers, and in our hand we have Lime Juice. Lime Juice is crucial against this matchup because now his Bartholomew cannot block and he cannot use the leader ability. So we try to split for little here. It was not a really good split, but we managed to take a win on this matchup. Next up, we have a matchup against Blackbeard. Now, Blackbeard is probably the least favorable matchup of this deck, because with the OP10 cards, Blackbeard's really a wonderful deck, a very broken deck, and we do not have answers to his power plays. When he starts playing Kuzan, we do not really have an answer to that, so he will just do whatever he wants, take lives whenever he wants, and he will start having lots of cards in hands and in the grave. His barges will be very tough to trade, and cost 10 Blackbeard will save him from Shanks. Unfortunately, this game I only found 2k cards in our hand, so we do not really have plays for most of the turns. We try to spam board as much as we can, try to not use characters for trade, otherwise he will solve them. It's not really a good matchup. Consider that this deck list is mainly built to counter Doflamingo and Asop, because you will solve characters with ease. You will have 9-cost Newgate, which is spectacular against Doflamingo, because your leader will become 7k, making him very hard to trade. Unfortunately, we did not encounter any Doflamingo in this tournament. There were none actually on the floor. We managed to encounter an Asop, and that was very, very good. But being a testing tournament, people did not really try and go all out with the decks that will probably be meta, like Doflamingo or Asop. As you can see, we do not really have plays here, so we will just spam attacks, try to find resources, but with a double Van Augur and a Docu on board, it's really hard to put any characters on the field because it will probably die. We have knowledge of 2 Blackbeard in his hand, so we cannot really play for late game either. It will just be a very bad matchup. And we did not find the characters to solve this matchup, if we have any. So it will just be a very bad match to watch. I'm sorry about that. Even our Shanks will be useless here, because I don't know why he did not make a double teach to start blocking our Shanks. He just solves it with yet another Van Augur. So it's now sure that we will not have any character on our board for the rest of the game. Consider that in my hand, I don't know if you can see, but I have 6 counter 2k and a Newgate, so nothing we can do, because our Newgate will not solve his Van Augur unless we have an Asop or a 10-cost Shanks on board. Our 9-cost Newgate is useless, because if he start using leader effect, our leader will not gain any power, and he is not even playing that good, but our hand did not allow us to make anything different from this play. So we will just try to solve his board, and unluckily he will draw from Van Augur too, but it's really complicated in this spot to do anything different in this game. He starts spamming for search, so he will always have the answer to our cards in his hand. He added another spell, but he finally decides to start casting 10-cost Blackbeard, so really nothing we can do here, because we do not have many characters. He forgot to use the leader effect here, I don't know why, and I also don't know why he didn't go 5 in the face after casting cost 10 Blackbeard, because we could not use our leader effect, so it was a free card for him, but I guess he just forgot. Here he had a second teach in hand, but he still decides not to cast him, making it really, really weird. I just start to try and trade these characters, but he has still 3 lives. Really, nothing we can do here. Second teach comes in board. He attacks now. He just forgot the earlier turn, and this spot will be very, very difficult from us, because he can attack with the teach, because we are not threatening for a lethal. Shout out to my opponent, Lorenzo Trezzo, who is learning to play this deck, so please don't be harsh with him in the comments. He's a very good friend of mine, very funny guy. Here we cast a blocker, we try to survive for the next turn, but everything is useless. There is no out to this situation, luckily, so the matchup will go south really fast. He started adding the barges. He didn't even cast a Kuzan this game, so maybe he could have played things a lot differently. I couldn't, but really there's no easy outs to this matchup. So we start going to the face, we use the leader effect, we try to make value to his attacks. We use a red hook here, to save us from an attack, but really we are delaying a certain death. We still have one Dawn open. I don't know if we have Departure in hand, which is a really good card, not in this matchup, but it's like a guard point with a secondary effect. Consider that Shanks will not be this good in OP10. This list is attached against Doffy and Aesop, but stay tuned because in EB02 Shanks will gain the spell, meaning that every character, including the counter 2k chopper, will be searchable. And I think that this leader will gain a little bit of terrain, but we have to see against Green Purple Luffy the matchup because I think it will be kind of tough. He starts swinging here for to push our lives. We are low of cards in hands, really nothing we can do. We cannot counter. We have a blocker. He uses the cost 10 teach ability to avoid that blocker, swing for lethal, and we have nothing. We can counter this attack, but really it's really useless at this point. I should just conceded at this spot because nothing I can do about it. Luckily, we found ourselves in the finals, so the game will be against Bonnie. I didn't really test this matchup, but the more I played it, the more I found that he has many cards against us. This Tashigi is really painful for us because we will not make value with our cards that like trash or KO him. Same goes for Sinante. He will just constantly save his character from death and nothing we can do about it. We use a Marco here and we swing on the Tashigi for 6, so we managed to take one card even with the Tashigi and Rocinante on the board, and he manages to put Hoddy Jones on board really early into this matchup, trying to push our lives. We try to counter as much as we can, as I told you earlier, because the more we go far in the matchup, the more we will struggle to counter his attacks, because he will have really bodies, making it very difficult for us. The game plan against Bonnie, it's probably to try and solve Rocinante and Tashigi as soon as they come on the field, because we will have a clear use of Divine Departure on 8 cost kit, which is a really problematic card for Shanks because we do not have economic ways to solve his blockers on the board. He casts Basil Hawkins, not a really nice card in this matchup, but it's like many painful cards for us that come on board and that we cannot solve instantly. So he will spam characters on the board and we can't do many things for that. We cast Rayleigh. Targets are, of course, Cavendish and Basil Hawkins to try and have a free trade, and we KO his Rocinante to avoid his effect being used. We try and solve as many cards as we can to avoid being pushed for lethal in the next turns. He still has a blocker on the board, but with the -2 of Rayleigh, so we should be safe this game. And we also leave 2 open because we have a red hook in case he decides to attack in a phase. So we use the leader effect to make a -1000 on Basil Hawkins and trade it with red hook, so he does not have any blocker on the board for the next turn, and we will try to push. This Shanks is really good in this matchup because he basically trades everything, but we also have a 10 cost Shanks. We try to trade that Hoddy Jones. We managed to do it because he would have to waste like 3 or 4 cards to save it, and we go 5 and 6 phase, so we have a clear lethal in the next turn unless he puts like 3 or 4 blockers on the board. Let's see what he searches with the Bonnie. He will add a killer, very useful in this matchup because he can have a blocker on board, draw 1 card. It's really good card. He also makes another search, but he does not add a blocker, so it's really good for us. He will try split in our face to push, but we managed to counter one attack, take the other, and really we can just push from now on because we are not under lethal threat anymore. He puts a Dawn under Killer to draw one card when he uses the effect, and he also has the leader effect up, so we will have to attack with Shanks first to maximize our value. Divine Departure here managed to take out the Killer. We can trade Shanks for Dawn, so we can just go face now. He does not have any threat on board, so this game is basically won because he cannot split with anything on his board. And we have 3 characters on the field, so really good position for us here. He will make another search with Bunny. We could have cleared that in the earlier turn, but really nothing that punishes us here. He takes a Kid, so probably he will cast it. He also had another one in hand, not really a good place in this spot, so he will just try to push us and go 15 in the face later. So we will have to split here, but I think that we can also counter a 15k in the face later, so really not a big deal, but we have a good split here. So we will just push him. We have 8 Dawn to spare, double blocker, and we will never lose this matchup like this, because with 2 blockers on the field, there's nothing he can do to save himself, maybe only cast Oddie Johns, but we counted the cards in our hand and we know that we can parry, that we can counter that. So really good. He does 11, we have many counters, and we win this game. We managed to make the first place with rating in this matchup, and see you in the next video. Let us know in the comment if you have any curiosities to ask. Thank you.